Hello, friends. Welcome to Quarantiki. This is Beachcomber Rob from Reddington Shores, and I thank you for joining me here on this Saturday evening in my backyard, in my little piece of paradise, to talk about hashtag Quarantiki. What is that? Well, I think we all know what quarantine is. It's isolation, and I think some of us know what tiki is, which basically, in the essence of tiki, it's an excursion to the exotica, somewhere far away, somewhere that we dream about on a daily basis that gets us out of our normal mundane lives. Quarantiki is the art of finding an escape while stuck in isolation, and that's why I wanted you guys to join me here tonight. Hopefully we can learn how to make some delicious cocktails and learn just a little bit more about the cult of tiki and all of Polynesian pop. So what is tiki? Going all the way back to the 1800s, we had rum runners going from Florida down to Cuba and to the Caribbean. The foremost rum runner was Ernest Raymond Beaumont Gant. We know him as Don the Beachcomber. Don would go down to the Caribbean all the time with his grandfather to pick up bottles of rum during Prohibition and bring them back to New Orleans, where he was born and raised. And they would create all sorts of awesome cocktails. The basis of those cocktails is very simple. Rum, a little bit of sugar, maybe some lime, whatever you had around, really, natural resources. And so what we're going to do today is talk about how those natural resources and the history of those resources are so easy to put together to give you your own little piece of paradise at home. Today we're going to feature the daiquiri number 1, as described in the book Smuggler's Cove. This is my personal Bible, and aside from the Bible of Jesus Christ. But we invite you guys here to join us on Facebook Live. The reason why we did it live is so that you can join and comment. You comment, my lovely, beautiful wife, Erin, is going to read me the comments, and then hopefully we can create a dialogue. But this book right here is $27 and change on Amazon. It's the entire history of the cult of tiki, every cocktail you could ever imagine, how to create the decor, how to create the ambiance, how to find some good music, all that good stuff. Look it up. It's super cheap. It's a great resource. We're going to start today with basically the foundations of all things tiki, rum. And in particular, we're going to go back to the story of a bartender in Havana, Cuba, who was trying to entertain a bunch of American tourists during Prohibition. And of course, in Havana, they had the beautiful Havana Club, 3-year white rum. Can't really get this in the States these days. Don't ask me how I got this. I couldn't tell you. Really, it's super top secret. So, Havana Club. What we're going to do today to make it possible for you guys is we're going to use a little bit of real McCoy from the Foursquare Distillery in Barbados. Very similar, you can see. Crystal clear, very high quality rum. That's important. If you're only using 3 ingredients, they got to be good, right? So, basically the birth of commercial rum was Havana Club in Cuba, and all the blazing tourists from America that would go down there would rave about this. And the bartender at La Floridita, the Little Florida Bar in Havana, Cuba, would bust out his rum, made locally, grab a handful of limes, and then they whip up a little bit of simple syrup that we're going to talk about here in a moment. This is really easy. This is just 2 parts Demerara sugar, which you can find at any store, Publix, Whole Foods, Winn-Dixie even. I mean, imagine that. God forbid, you gotta go to Winn-Dixie. But anyways, so you can get it there, 2 to 1, and put it in water, warm it up, let it get all happy and blend. Don't boil it, and then as soon as it's blended, pull it off, and you're gonna mix it up. So what we're doing here is, got a little simple syrup here of Demerara, got some nice limes. We talk about the quality in all ingredients, right? So you can buy this bottle for $23 at Total Wine. It's probably the finest rum you can get, under 50 bucks, and probably as good as any rum you're gonna drink for 100 bucks. So getting good quality is very important if you've only got 3 ingredients. You got real McCoy here, some homemade simple syrup made of Demerara, and some nice limes. And if you're talking about quality of limes, I prefer Peruvian because they're juicier than Mexican. And if that helps you out, great. Let's get into the basic, fundamental daiquiri. You've got 3 parts: rum, lime, simple syrup. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take the rum. We've got 2 ounces of that. Grab your rum, boys and girls. Get it out. Hey, Susan!
Hey!
Susan and Ken are live with us here on Facebook making daiquiris.
Quite the setup you got going on there.
Thanks, Susan.
Impressive.
You're a doll. Get out your tumbler. Hey, Aaron, has anyone chimed in yet?
I think you got some eggplants from Brandon.
Oh, Brandon with the eggplant. Thank you, brother. I'm rocking the dad bod these days. The quarantine will put a couple on you.
The quarantine 15.
The quarantine 15, or as we call it in our house, the quarantine 20. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the eggplants. We're gonna start. Bottle of rum, little jigger. We're gonna go 2 ounces of rum in our standard daiquiri. One ounce. 2 ounces. Next up, we're gonna throw a little lime in there. In a simple daiquiri, number 1, as described by the Smuggler's Cove, calls for 3/4 of an ounce of lime, 1/2 of an ounce of simple syrup. So, you got something here, Aaron?
Brandon wants to make sure you said jigger. You should probably enunciate that very carefully.
Jigger.
With a J.
With a hard R and a J. Thank you, Brandon. For those of you guys who don't know Brandon, he's the kegulator at Keg Connect and my sturdy compatriot. We're gonna go 3/4 of an ounce of lime here. These little juicers here are phenomenal. You can get them at Publix, really, any liquor store. Basic jigger, OXO from Bath and Body Works. Again, guys, it's not exotic stuff, even though the Cult of Tiki is known as being exotica. So yeah, let's get 3/4 of an ounce. Hey, Aaron, can you hear the music?
Your mom couldn't hear you, so I turned it down.
Oh no, Mom. We're gonna turn the music back up just a hair because I can't even hear it.
It's because you're deaf.
I am deaf. Thank you, French horn. All right. Sorry, Mom. I love you. Anyways, we got our 2 ounces of lightly blended aged rum here. 3/4 of an ounce of lime. Next up, and our final ingredient is going to be our Demerara syrup. Again, you can get Demerara syrup, Demerara sugar anywhere. Publix, Winn-Dixie, basically any Whole Foods. The difference between Demerara syrup and a simple white sugar, Demerara sugar and white sugar, is basically, as soon as they make sugar, it's Demerara sugar. When they bleach it and they refine it and they do all sorts of crazy stuff, that's when you get your white sugar. And it is not brown sugar, that's ultra sweet. This is the rarest form of sugar you can get. 2 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water. Warm it up on your stove top. As soon as it's blended, pull it off, drop it into a little ball jar, and let it cool to room temperature at least before you drop it into a cocktail. We throw it in the fridge and keep it there all the time. Looks like a science experiment in there because I'm married to a baker. So we're going to drop in 1/2 of an ounce of Demerara syrup. Drop it in like so. Now what we're going to do, we've got all 3 ingredients. Let's get them nice and happy. As my friend Emeril Lagasse would say, close personal friends, by the way. Add some ice. Add a few blocks here. Getting fancy. This doesn't require crushed ice, doesn't require fancy like artisan ice, just regular old ice. So all you're doing is shaking it up as an agitator block. One of these bad boys. Drop in here. Now guys, I'm not trying to brag, but I probably have one of the best daiquiri shakes on the planet. You ready? You ready? This is actually the hardest part of making this drink. Get off.
Doug Nelson wants to know if we can use lose the shirt entirely. Nice.
Yeah, those are 39-year-old B cups right there. So, let's see what we got going on here. This is for you, Doug.
Oh no. Lost the feed. Okay, we're back.
Are we back? Once you manhandle these things apart, grab your, sorry, these chubbies don't have a belt. They tend to fall off. Sorry, guys. Long story short, cocktail, a strainer. You're gonna want to find yourself a chilled coupe. My car buddies will call it a coupe, but they're snobs. There you have it, my friends. Beautiful, beautiful. Daiquiri number 1, as pre-described by Smuggler's Cove, from the La Floridita recipes of 1933. That's good. So, Aaron, can I have my shirt back?
Kind of like it without.
A little exposed. I mean, if the fire helps, but I'm pretty fat, so.
I don't want to catch the set on fire.
We're good. We're good. We're good. So, do we have any questions? How are my friends out there? Is this not the easiest frickin' drink to make on the planet? That's good. That's good. Any comments, Aaron?
Not that I'm comfortable repeating.
You should say it out loud. My mother is a very.
Your mother's watching.
My mother's a very liberal person.
Okay, so Shannon wants to know. So it's just lime, simple syrup, and rum, correct?
Yeah,
That is correct.
Very,
Yeah.
very, very easy. You got to think about this for a minute. This little drink was created in the Caribbean. All they have is rum and rum agricole, which is for another episode. Basic rum. You want a good quality. That's why I recommend something decent. Get yourself a nice juicy Peruvian lime, and you want to make your simple syrup at home because the store-bought crap really is just full of chemicals. You just don't want it. But yeah, rum, lime, syrup. Done.
Your mom wants to know how much simple syrup.
Let me go back to that. For a simple daiquiri, single pour, 2 ounces of rum, and then 3/4 of an ounce of lime, and 1/2 of an ounce of the Demerara syrup. And guys, you don't just get a dad bod. I think you might have to actually have a kid. But if you try hard enough, eat a lot of pastrami, there's all sorts of stuff going on. There's ways you can do this. You don't want to look like a 22-year-old.
So how do you take those simple ingredients and make more drinks?
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So my lovely wife asks, how do you take the simple daiquiri number 1 as really your building block of all tiki drinks and expand upon it? So here's a really cool thing. If you take this light rum and you get rid of it, and you get yourself a nice lightly blended dark rum, not spiced, but a darker rum that's been aged in oak barrels and various barrels. I prefer a Plantation 5-year. This is $20 at Total Wine, and again, it's one of my staples of my repertoire. This guy right here is phenomenal. It's the same exact recipe we just did for the daiquiri. If you use a darker rum, a little bit less lime, and the same amount of sugar, you're going to get what's called a grog. If you take a grog and you throw a shot of Angostura bitters in it and a little hit of nutmeg, what have you got now? A Barbados rum punch. If you take out the nutmeg and you add just a little hit of dram, now you've got a Planter's Punch. And really with some basic ingredients and just a little bit of know-how on how to add 1 or 2 ingredients to create the list of drinks, you're your vocabulary with tiki can become huge in no time short. And what we hope to do in future episodes is take these building blocks of a daiquiri and show you by adding one ingredient. Now it's called this. By adding one ingredient plus this garnish, it's called this. So if you go back to the daiquiri, that's basically the foundation of all tiki. Any other questions, Aaron?
Yeah, Chris Fairchild wants to know your opinion on spiced rum.
Hey Chris, I love you. And I think spiced rum has a time and a place. Zach Schuster would definitely have a harder opinion than I would on that, but I really don't enjoy spiced rum personally. I don't find it come up in a lot of my staple drinks that I truly enjoy, and I don't even see it come up once out of 200 recipes in this book. So, you know, if you're gonna have like a rum and coke with a lime, go for it. Get yourself some Captain Morgan and have fun at a tailgate. But as far as enjoying a true tiki drink, you want to taste the actual rum. And my belief is that the spices obscure it. And what I'm looking for in a different classification of rum is a different level of complexity. And if I can't taste that complexity, then I'm just not enjoying it. So that's where I'm at with spiced rums. Anybody else out there on the internet?
Yeah, what are we gonna do next week?
Okay, so next week, there's a really cool rhyme for tiki and tiki drinks, and that rhyme is 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, 4 of weak. And that's the basic building block for all tiki drinks. You've got that 1 part lime, 2 part sugar, 3 part rum, 4 part ice. So basically, if you use that rhyme, you'll always have great balance to anything you make. What we're going to do is take this simple rum plus lime plus syrup, and we're going to show you how when you change out the rum, you've got a grog. When you change out the rum, add a shot of bitters and some nutmegs, you've got the Barbados Punch. Take away the nutmeg and add some allspice dram, you got yourself a Planter's Punch. What we're going to do is develop those 3 drinks next week and explain the slight differences between the rums, as well as this little concoction here, the dram, which the Jamaicans love. You can't have a Jamaican tiki drink without either A, Angostura bitters, or B, this little dram here, which is pretty easy to concoct. My wife is a baker, in which she likes doing crazy things and creating science experiments in our fridge. So she loves putting this stuff together, and I have to get all of the credit to her for not only creating this, but the idea for Korean tiki. So I love you, Erin.
I love you.
You're my inspiration. So that's what's going to happen in future episodes. And what we love to do also is delve into 2 other parts of the tiki culture. One is the ambiance and how easy it is to create. I'll give you a teaser for that. Home Depot, 25 bucks. Orchid from the garden. Tiki from a downtown airbox. Couple torches is a few bucks. Good cutting board. Palm tree. It's very simple. We can create the aesthetic very simply with a few simple items. And then the music you're hearing here is from basically an Exotica playlist, which anybody can pull up for free on YouTube. We're streaming on Spotify, and there's also the similar list on Pandora. But for me, tiki is all about an escape. And let's get back to what Korean tiki is. Quarantine sucks because you're isolated, but tiki's amazing because it's an escape. It's a mental escape from the craziness of the world. Turn off the news for one night, and sit by a palm tree and drink a cocktail, and you're going to forget about all that BS that's going on in the world, at least for one night.
Oh, Bo's here.
Oh!
Ada's here.
Who's here?
Ada?
Ada! What's up, Ada? What you doing? I love you. Also, Ada lived in Hawaii, and she knows all about that tiki life.
Heidi says you're a Tiki Life influencer.
I don't want to be called an influencer because I genuinely hate those people, but I know exactly what you mean by inspiring tiki because I love you, Heidi. And when you sat in our tiki lounge just 1 week ago, and we could just enjoy a drink together, that's what tiki's all about. Forgetting about all the BS in the world and escaping to a great place. I love you, Kurt. I love you, Heidi. I love all my people. Anyone else around?
The Vargases want tequila recipes.
Ooh, how about mezcal? So, hey Vargases, we're gonna do a mezcal and tequila episode with a featured guest, Cachaça. last night we made up some cachaça drinks, and I'm really excited to share those. As well as, the basic, we have Cinco de Mayo coming up. We can whip up a really, really high-end make-it-home margarita for those people who are used to the mixed stuff. So we'll help them and be a Sherpa, a guide towards a quality experience on their Cinco de Mayo.
How's that daiquiri?
Daiquiri's good. I mean, whoever made it, shit, yeah. That's nice.
I think you should make another one.
Hey, Ken. I see that cigar. I'll be over in just a bit.
I got a bunch laid out.
I love you. So my neighbor Ken is a consummate gentleman. He's over there next door. He's basically everything I want to be when I grow up. He provides me delicious rums, and he gifted us that cachaça I was just speaking about. And he's also a really dear cigar buddy. So.
We're asking for some Don Julio 1942 recipes.
Ooh. Okay, so
there are some tequila tiki recipes.
So tiki's funny. Everyone associates with just rum, but when you get into this book, there's so much tequila. There's remnants of gin. There's a lot of brandy in here. There's a lot of really fun stuff. So how about this? I'm gonna do my research, and once I have a decent drink, we'll bring that back in one of the next couple episodes.
And Tom wants to know about cool glasses. We have one good one right here on the table.
All right, so cool glassware. Obviously, this is a simple coupe, and I got it at this really, really exotic place called Crate and Barrel. It's very exotic, but stuff like this is kind of what makes tiki fun. Is when you travel to a place, if you hit a tiki bar, if they've got some glassware, you pick it up, or you're like, oh, I'm missing this style, and you go and you hunt it down and you find it. This is not something you grab onto every day, but the glassware is essential because if you want to make, like, if you're having friends over, and you're having 6 friends over, and you make a big, massive punch, you want to whip out a scorpion bowl. You want to get a big, massive bowl with 20-inch straws, like Trader Vic's in San Francisco. This right here is a cool little guy. Where's he from, babe?
Disney.
This is from Disney. This is from
The Polynesian.
Trader Sam's, Polynesian Resort. So, again, we've got resources here locally. Trader Sam's over in Disney is awesome at the Polynesian Resort. I picked up a mug when I was in Portland on business from the G4 meeting, Tom. And Hale Pele, which is also owned by the owner of Smuggler's Cove in San Francisco, Mark Kane, who wrote this book. So every time I look at that little mug, I think about Portland, I think about that experience, and it's really cool.
Heidi wants more passion fruit.
Oh, babe, can we get passion fruit?
I'll get it.
Go. All right. So we didn't plan on this, and Heidi is throwing us an audible, but I'm gonna make for you, completely off the cuff, what has become my new house drink. And there's really no recipe for it. I just kind of do it by feel, but I can kind of measure it out for you. It's gonna be a basic grog, which I was gonna introduce next week, but I'll do it real quick for you here. Next week is when we'll really get into the grog, but I'll do it here. But I'm gonna do it with the passion fruit because the grog is really cool, but it's just like a daiquiri, just a little richer because it's a darker rum. I like to mix it up with a citrus flair by adding a little passion fruit. So here you go, Heidi. Babe. For the assist. So like I said, our refrigerator is like a science lab. So my wife whipped up some passion fruit syrup. I don't want to oversimplify it because she spent a lot of time on it, but you basically have to find some concentrated passion fruit, and then you treat it in the same manner as when you're creating your Demerara syrup or your simple syrup with syrup and water on the oven, get a good blend, cool it off, and then you've got a delicious additive. What we're going to do here, kill this daiquiri, we're going to do the same exact makeup that we just did with the daiquiri, except instead of using our light rum, we're going to use our darker rum to make a grog, and then we're going to drop a little passion fruit in it just to make it a little more citrusy. So, going back to our typical recipe for a daiquiri, we are going to do 2 ounces of rum. What we're using here is a Plantation 5-year. I picked this up for $19.99 at Total Wine, and again, it's probably one of the best rums I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm a little bit of a rum snob, but you know, I like everything, so 2 ounces. Oh, by the way, if you want to make yourself a second daiquiri while I'm doing this, do it with me. 1 ounce.
Shannon wants to know, what's your take on Appleton Estate rum?
This recipe calls for Appleton Estate, and I'm using Plantation 5-year instead. So Appleton is actually a wonderful Jamaican staple, outstanding rum. I don't use it a whole lot because I'm like I hate to call myself a Barbados rum whore, but I'm kind of a Barbados rum whore, and I just keep finding really, really good rums from there. But I love Appleton's as a staple. It's always been around. We're gonna drop in for the grog slightly less syrup, half an ounce, just under half an ounce, and definitely less lime, because in the first recipe for the daiquiri, the daiquiri number 1 calls for 3/4 of an ounce of lime. This guy only calls for half of an ounce of lime. Let's see if this big fatty does it, which is probably the quote of the night. I'm the big fatty.
Steve! Steve is watching.
Who's on there? Steve who?
Steve Florio.
Ah! Orlov Nevitz! I love you, Steve. Half an ounce of lime. So now we've got ourselves a grog. A little darker rum, a little less lime, the same amount of Demerara sugar. And what we're going to do for our good friend Heidi is we're going to drop in just about a half of an ounce of passion fruit syrup. Boop. Drop some ice. And I'm going to drop it like it's hot, because this fire, I'm not going to lie to you, it's a little bit closer than I'm used to being. It's pretty hot. So if I'm sweaty, I'm not nervous. I'm a performer. I play the goddamn French horn. But this fire's hot. I'm not going to lie to you. So, strainer. If you didn't get the patented shake technique before, let me show it to you again.
Yes!
Woo! 30 seconds and he's done! Just like normal, ladies. Strain this out. Now, normally, a grog does not go into a standard coupe, but since we're playing around here, it's the only glass I've got. Strain it out. And a grog gets the ice. It's not a total strain. What we have here, boys and girls, at Heidi's request, is a passion fruit grog. How's it going on the internet, babe? We good? Any more eggplants from Brandon?
I haven't seen anything from Brandon. I think we may have lost
Andy
him.
Schrader?
Chris Fairchild wants to know, are we going to have to pay for this stream? Andy says 30 seconds is sort of being generous.
Hey, Chris. I don't charge if you don't tell.
Oh, Kylie's in?
Kylie! Are you in Chicago, Kylie? Alright. My cousin Kylie just moved to Chicago. If you do not go to 3 dots and a dash, I might have to disown you as a cousin, because it's one of the top tiki bars in the entire world. 3 dots and a dash is also Morse code for victory. Oh, Ken's coming over.
We have a special guest.
You know what? We didn't plan any of this shit because we're just drunk and we're like condemned to our households.
Special guest.
But our special guest, Ken, is here.
Here's some cigars from Edwards Pipe and Tobacco.
Yeah!
Edwards
Hi,
Pipe
Ken!
and Tobacco. Ken, bring it in, brother. Bring it in.
Yeah.
So,
Salute.
Salute. So I have a standing date with our neighbor Ken here. He's a really good cigar buddy. He's dropped us some good bottles of rum and a phenomenal bottle of cachaça, which we busted out last night. We're going to feature that on our tequila episode. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the same exact recipe as the daiquiri we talked about this week. But we subbed out some darker Barbados rum, a little less lime, and then I popped in that passion fruit syrup for Heidi. So, Heidi, it's a classic for a reason, and I totally made it up. I hope you enjoy it.
You're getting a lot of requests for some French horn playing.
Hey guys. So, I'm not going to say I've been drinking for like 6 hours, but the stability of my embouchure right now might be suspect, and my 3-year-old daughter's asleep. Also, that's my neighbor's house, and my other neighbor is Ken, and then my other neighbor's 5 feet away, so we're a little tight quarters here at the beach, but I will have, how about this? I will have French horn in the Cinco de Mayo episode, and I will play for you La Cucaracha on the French horn.
It's on the internet.
And I'll be drunk. So it's
the internet is forever.
There. You might want to join in. You might want to come back and watch another episode. I don't know. It's up to you. I don't live your life. I don't make your decisions for you. But I'll play the French horn. I will play La Cucaracha on our tequila episode. Heidi, you're gonna like this a lot. Tell your man Kurt to make up a nice little grog, and then just drop in some passion fruit syrup. How are we looking, babe?
We're good. We're good.
Good?
Tom wants to know how you sponsor the corn tiki.
Oh, so Tom, this is Tom Williams?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not looking at a monitor at all. I'm looking at my gorgeous wife. So, Tom, you sponsor me every day, brother. Tom is my stainless leader at Keg Connect and Ely's Funding and all of the different businesses, St. Pete Brewing Company. Tom, here's what you can do to sponsor this program. If in every paycheck you can supply me with 1 ration of rum, you will make the next episode possible. And I believe in you, sir. Thank you for your support.
Heidi, you can get that passion fruit syrup on Amazon.
Cool.
Your mom says La Cucaracha is better than a tragic Russian adagio.
Thank you. You know, as French horn players, we get a bad rap because we just want to play dark, German, romantic stuff. But when I get the opportunity to play La Cucaracha live, I'm actually excited about it. Because it's fun, right? French horn players don't get fun gigs. That's why we're kind of like, you know, a little more serious people. We're like, damn it, I have to play Mahler next week. I don't get to play like a jazz gig. But it's neither here nor there.
Chris Johnson is now in on the feed.
Oh, Chris Johnson. Guys, this is an all-star in the St. Petersburg and international beer community. Hey, Chris. Any tiki questions? Or tiki banter?
French horn Esquivel. We're getting requests.
Ooh.
I feel like that could be a thing. Doug Nelson.
Doug Nelson. So Doug and I go back and forth about the Exotica. Doug is also a wonderful member of our beer community here in the Berg. So Doug, what I have to do is I'm gonna have to transcribe some Esquivel because none of it's printed out. So I'm gonna just have to like dig in deep. How about this? When we do our we're probably gonna do like a West Indies episode where we go into just those drinks. I'll do a little Esquivel on the horn as well. I didn't know that the horn was gonna be popular tonight. I'll have to warn my neighbors because we do this at 9. But I'd love to do some Esquivel. Also, Mr. Ho's Orchestratica has a ton of Esquivel covers, and I might get into that.
So we have another question. We want to know what a grog is.
Okay, so
I actually have the screenshot if you want to read it from Smuggler's Cove.
I'm all about it. I know all about it. So check it out. Grog was... So let's go a step back. What is grog? What is the Navy? So the British Navy, who basically colonized the Caribbean, gave their sailors a ration of rum every day. But they didn't call it rum, they called it grog. It's because one of their famous captains, I can't remember his full name. What is it, baby?
Admiral Edward Old Grogman Vernon.
Old Grogman. Hey, by the way, Brandon, that's what we were going to call you at Keg Connect, but we went with Kegulator. So, what is it again, baby?
Admiral Edward Old Grogman Vernon.
Yeah, so basically the Navy got a ration of rum every day. They didn't call it a ration, they didn't call it rum, they just called it their share of grog. And they also got bread. And if they could trade in their bread for lime and sugar. So, like a good Navy sailor, they did that every single night. And that drink basically became the grog. because their master, their quartermaster, gave them the grog every night, and they were super appreciative of that. And the grog is basically like, it looked like muddy water, which is why you use the darker rum to create a realistic effect for the grog.
I think people are a little concerned about the cops breaking this up. Don't worry, they're passing by.
Let me tell you about living in a private municipality. The cops all know us. They know we like to get a little crazy on Saturday nights. And that's just one of the benefits of Redington Shoals.
Yeah, we're getting more requests for a French horn episode. We'll have to do a horn episode.
Yeah, guys, listen. All I came prepared with tonight was a little liquor and a little bit of fun. And what I'll do is I will bring the horn out the next time, because I love the French horn, and I didn't know that so many of you love the French horn, so that's kind of cool. So many of my friends who are musicians are dying inside because we don't get to perform, and a lot of guys are playing online and doing really cool collaborative things on Zoom. But I'll definitely bust out some horn in some future episodes. I'll try and make it copacetic to the theme for the evening.
Yeah, Dave Vargas wants to know if you're treating rickets. And I know you like to say that you're preventing scurvy.
Oh God, yeah, no, Dave, you're a doctor. You're a doctor with a gorgeous wife and phenomenally intelligent children. All I'm trying to do is ward off scurvy every single day, because by God, I know COVID's bad. Oh shit, I know COVID's bad, but scurvy, guys, it's been around for a while, and I don't want to downplay it. You need to protect yourselves. A lime a day keeps the scurvy away. Thanks, Dave.
What about the Planner's Punch? You want to talk about Planner's Punch?
Oh, yeah. So, Planner's Punch was the end of the evolution of what we talked about. That's going to be a drink we do in next week's episode. So today was to talk about the foundation of tiki, the daiquiri. Rum, syrup, lime. Everything builds off of that. So the Planner's Punch is like level 4. So level 1 was the daiquiri. Mix out the rum, you get the grog. Add some bitters and a little nutmeg, you get the Barbados Punch. Take away the nutmeg, add the dram, and you get the punch. So here's the deal for the Planner's Punch. You get a blended rum, some Demerara syrup, healthy dose of these guys, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, drop in some dram. Dram is really cool. It's got cinnamon, it's got allspice, it's got clove. It's a really, really floral syrup, simple syrup, made just like the dram. Sometimes I mix them up in the fridge and it's a bad time. So just make sure that you label them just like my wife does. And no, it's a really good deal though. The plantation, obviously, we all know what that is. They wanted a punch, and that punch needed to be representative of the earth. And so that's why the allspice and the clove and the cinnamon and all of those earthy herbal elements come to play in the punch.
Did you talk about your lime preference earlier? Did we cover that?
Yeah, so check it out. These little guys are Peruvian, and the Peruvians don't do many things well. But what they do well is...
That's racist.
Listen, it's not racist unless you make it racist. The Peruvians have the best limes on the entire planet because they're fat and they're juicy. And you know a Peruvian lime? Because it's really shiny and it's squishy. That means there's juice in that bad boy. A lot of the Mexican limes tend to be a little firmer and a little drier. And they're good for other things, but my preference when I'm trying to get juice out of a good lime is to get a good Peruvian lime. Also, here's a healthy tip. If you roll out your lime beforehand and you kind of like work it a little bit, it breaks up the inside, the membranes, and it gives you, after you cut it, a really juicy pour, which, I don't know about you, but I like it juicy. Right, babe? Love you. You're so sweet.
So what are we making next week?
Okay, so next week is a springboard off of this week. This week was the foundation of all things tiki. The daiquiri number 1, created at La Floridita Bar in Havana, Cuba, to cure all that ailed Prohibition age Americans when their journeys down to Cuba. Next week, we're going to turn this into a grog, kind of like we did tonight, but except more evolved. We're going to then turn that into a Barbados punch, and we're going to turn the Barbados punch, reverse engineer that into a Planters punch. And we're going to show you how with 5 ingredients, you can create 4 tiki drinks that can become a really nice varietal staple in your household to help you create a little bit of corn tiki, a little bit of exotic escape during your isolation.
I think everybody wants to know when we're making a Mai Tai.
Ooh! So my wife has been tasked with producing some orgeat, and I've been tasked with drinking more rum to prepare food. So it's going to be very difficult for both of us, but I think we're going to get through it. Do you guys want to do a Mai Tai next week? That's pretty rad. Anyone?
You have a little bit of a delay, so we gotta wait on the comments.
Okay, we gotta wait in the comments. Yeah, I've never gone live before. I've been on Facebook since 2004, 16 years, and I've never gone live. I actually kind of hated it, but I decided, you know what, let's go live tonight because then people can chime in, and now I kind of get it.
Nikki says yes to the Mai Tai.
Yes to the Mai Tais. Shout out to Nikki because I love you, Nikki, because you're married to Andy, and I love Andy because he's good friends with my wife, and I love my wife.
Kylie says, give us the ingredients in advance so we can make it with you. And we will do that, Kylie.
Yeah, so Kai, what we'll do is we'll do a little like a hit sheet of the things to buy. Basically rum, how to make a simple syrup, get some good limes, and then we're gonna follow on the path of maybe how to make a dram. That'll be a really quick clip. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Definitely have to have some Angostura bitters. That's a staple in any bar for 1,000 drinks. And then we're going to jump into the orgeat, which is the almondy, beautiful liqueur that's required to achieve a Mai Tai.
Nikki, we're going to hire you as a hula dancer, so yes. Dave Vargas says, yellow limes. He wants you to talk about the importance of using yellow limes.
I am blindingly ignorant to yellow limes. I don't know a whole lot about that.
That means they're riper, so they're better.
Yeah, so my wife, who you just heard, explained that they might be riper. It's hard to get them unless you produce them yourselves, because by the time a lime hits a store, it's never yellow, and if it is, it's almost ready to turn. These are the brightest limes I've found in a while, and they're still on the lighter green side. So let me try and get my hands on some yellow limes. We are actually growing key limes in our garden out front, but that's a totally different species, so we're not going to see it. But, let me get my hands on that, and let me do a little research, because I am, again. Now, Chris Fairchild or Zach Schuster might know about that, and I would ask them to chime in. Also, my good buddy Dave Chestnut is a maven of all things, and I bet if Dave studies it for a day, he'll figure it out.
9:45.
Well, guys, I have to tell you, I thought this was going to be 9 minutes of me falling on myself, and I think it's been about 45 minutes of good fun with friends. And hopefully, you know, I know we're all bored to death in our homes with this whole COVID thing, but I pray that you guys are safe. I pray that all my friends are healthy, and that you don't go crazy in the process of this. We're going to make it through it, and the purpose of Quarantiki is to how to find an escape while you're stuck inside, provide yourself a little bit of joy, and maybe learn a new trick or two in your home bar that can provide some enjoyment. So, as I ended last week, Wahala, stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated.